talk about, excuse me, you talked about the other day sort of about the different emotions, coaching Team USA. How do you feel like it's, I don't know if it's affected you or just things you've learned about yourself as a coach from this perspective, as opposed to all the years you've coached as a college coach? What do you think? How has it maybe changed you or affected you as a coach? Because it is a different type of pressure, if you will.
I don't know if it's changed me. I think it's made me more aware of, what's at stake.
Mhm.
And usually, usually it's a familiar feeling because you go to Final Fours, you compete for national championships, and that feeling is familiar. Here, it is you are representing an entire country, and they want you to do well, and they are very critical of how things were to how they look now. And I mean, you always want to put your best foot forward. And if it isn't to our standard, and although we're winning, it just keeps you busy. It just keeps you trying to figure out ways of which that make it feel a little different internally. I move towards preparation. I move towards watching more and more and more and more film, and getting less sleep, versus there's so much you can do from a collegiate standpoint where you can watch a million films, you can, but here you're just trying to create an edge, create some separation from your opponents. And it's harder and harder because, the margin of error is smaller and smaller. So you're trying to figure out what that is. And it's a moving target. It isn't something that is the same every game because you're playing against different styles. And you yourself are trying to get your team to play, to reach its full potential in a short period of time. So there are just feelings that I just aren't familiar to me. And it's cool though, because I welcome newness. I've been coaching for 21, 22 years, and in my 22nd year now, I got a different feeling, and it's just different, and it's not frightening. I'm not nervous. I'm not afraid. It's just you're anxious. You want to get out there, and you want to, you don't want to wait around. You want to play. You want to play a lot more games in the time that we've been here. We've been here for almost 2 weeks now, and we've played 3 games. So there's a lot of waiting around. So there's a lot of time that your mind is occupied with what you need to do to perform well.
Dawn, I know you got used to this a long time ago, obviously, but the feeling of being an elite player versus an elite coach, is it the same? I mean, do you have the same feelings going into a game that you would have, when you were out on the court, or how can you sort of characterize if it's different, what it's like?
I mean, the difference is, as a coach, you put the game plan in, and then you just watch them execute it. And it's not to perfection. So there are things that you can do and say to them that will help that. There are things that you can lean over and talk to a coach on my left or right or my far right, and feel good about us covering what we need to cover. As a player, you're active. You actually are doing something physical. You are dribbling the basketball. You are making decisions. You are communicating out there on the floor. So you're putting that energy into your play, versus as a coach, you have to put that energy into coaching someone else through your eyes. And it's a lot different because it's hands off. as a coach and as hands-on as a player.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And we'll go next to Mike Uba.
How you doing, Don? A little bit early here in Columbia. Don, I got to ask you this, obviously being able to see the growth of Asia from high school to college to the pros and now, just last week you mentioned that the biggest thing that she needed to do was just to be Asia, even though she had an experience playing in the Olympics. What have you seen from her that has allowed her to be playing at such a high level for you guys 3 games in?
I mean, she's young. I mean, when you're young and when you've played basketball at the highest level, as far as on a collegiate level, and then on the WNBA level, it builds confidence for this stage, which is the biggest of her career. And I know she was a little nervous when we first started, but once she gets down to just being her and doing what she does, and that feeling of, I got my first shot to go down, everything just clears up for her. I think she sees where she needs to be. And I just do think playing with other great players allows her to just be who she is, because they're going to make her look good. The only thing she has to do is catch the ball, and then everything else is practice. Is what she's always has done, and she's gotten to that feeling a lot sooner than most young people her age. And playing on a seasoned team, like or a season 4 players that she's starting the game with.
Thank you.
Next, Doug Feinberg, and then we'll roll it back to Michelle.
Hey, Dawn, good to see you.
So Doug.
I remember you telling us in Vegas that when you guys got to the quarterfinals, I guess when Sue and Dee were rookies, you had to say, hey guys, now we get serious, like these games count, like if you don't win, like you go home. Is that something that you guys have to have that conversation, not with Sue and Dee, but with everyone? Hey, this is it. This is win or go home now, versus like the 3 other games where if you don't win, it's not the end of the world, but now it's like, okay, this is it. This is what we're here for. Like we got to turn it up a notch, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned it to our team before practice today, because, I know sometimes it goes without saying, and I just didn't want it to go. I didn't want to go without saying that, hey, it's do or die. This is what we came here for. This is the important part of it. You can't get to what we came here to do unless you get by this opponent and stay alive and stay in the medal hunt. And it was quick. It wasn't, anything that, that's going to, conversation that's going to linger on. These are pros. You tell them exactly what you want, and they understand it. It doesn't have to take a dissertation for them to figure it out.
Thanks, Dawn.
And we'll close out today with Michelle Boble. Michelle, go ahead.
Yeah, Coach, having, the Australia game so recent in memory, how does that help in some ways to face them again? Not that you guys aren't real familiar with them, but just that it's so close in memory. And you mentioned earlier just waiting around a lot. Would you rather have the old format of playing, the 5 games preliminary, the way that it always was, rather than 3?
Yeah, I'd rather play more games, because there is a whole lot of sitting around. I mean, we did get some good practice time in, but I'm sure everybody else would much rather to play games, to fill that time up. And then to play Australia, I think it's great. I think it's great for us to have a familiar opponent. It helps with scouting. It helps with familiarity. It helps with our players know, what they're up against. And because we played them, I think 17, 18 days ago. So it's somewhat fresh on our mind, and especially because we lost, and we like to just perform a lot better than we perform and finish the 40-minute play and allow what we've done over the past couple of weeks to help us in situations in which if we build a big lead that we could hold on to it, or if we find ourselves down, we know that there are stretches in which we play great that we have to string together to play good basketball. So, but we know it's a formidable opponent, and I'm sure we both are looking forward to playing each other.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Don.
Thanks, Carolyn.